Hello everybody, this is King Tut here and welcome to another Java tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll teach you guys for loop. So before I begin, they're going to be three-part series, three-part video for loops. So in this video is going to be for loop, and then in the other video will be the while loop, and the video after that is going to be the do while loop. So a for loop is basically a kind of loop that basically iterates from the initial point to the final point of a certain amount of steps or iteration. So in other words, it goes from, let's say, 0 to 9, for example, and it goes up by 1. And you just put in the block of code, and for for every time that for every time that block of code gets repeated, do it from 0 to 9, and after it's executed, add the step by 1. And once it reaches 9, or if it goes after 9, stop the loop. Yeah, you're confused. So let me show you how to do a for loop so that way it better explains the mechanics of for loop. Mechanics as a better word. That's the best I could actually say. So to implement for loop, you put in the for keyword and then parentheses. And you could either declare a variable and assign it right away, assign the initial value right away, or you could actually put in you could declare a variable outside of the for loop and then make use of it in there, but it has to be before the for loop because the computer reads the program from top to bottom. So if it goes to the for loop and then you just put in a variable's name without declaring it, it's gonna give you an error. So I usually declare it inside of the for loop. So let's just put int I. So there are going to be three parts. So I mentioned the first part where it's the initial value. The next part, which is separated by semicolons, the next part is going to be the end value. And then the third part, also separated by semicolon, is going to be the steps to go from beginning to end. Once the code inside the for loop gets executed, it's the amount of it's the amount of number that you wanted to either add or increase or decrease by. So I equals 0, so 0 is going to be our starting point. I less than 9, so what it's saying here is I want it to go from 0 to 8. And once it goes to 9, since it's not less than 9, it's equal to 9, the for loop will stop executing and the program will skip over the for loop. So separate that by semicolon. And then I wanted to count up by 1. So usually you do it by plus plus or plus I plus 1, which is basically using the I value. So let's say it's 0. So after the code is executed, it becomes 0 plus 0, actually I plus the initial value plus 1, and then that becomes that final value. So it's the same thing as this one, but I usually put plus plus as a shorthand term, and because it's easier to remember. Also, same thing for minus minus if you want to decrement or decrease steps. So you put in the curly braces, and let's just say, let's do system that out the print line, and let's just say looping. So what's going to happen here is the initial value is 0, so the loop is going to start from 0, and then it's going to make sure if that variable is less than 9, which it is. So it goes inside, so it executes what's inside the curly braces, and then which prints out looping. Actually, I forgot to put in the 2 exclamation points. So it's going to execute looping, and then once it's done executing what's inside the curly brace, it's going to add up by 1, and then it's going to make sure if it's less than 9, and then if it is less than 9, it's gonna execute the code and repeat again and again and again until this this statement is no longer true. I stops being less than 9, it ends up being equal to 9. So let's run this program. And as you see here, it spammed looping until it stops at 9. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, I mentioned 8, which that's not true. It's not gonna print 8 times. It's gonna print 9 times, but it's gonna start from 0, and it's gonna go to 8. So it's basically 0. So if I let me show you what it looks like when I put in the variables that I implemented inside the for loop. So let me show you what happens, why it's still going to be 9. So it starts from 0, so it's going to print out 0, and then it's going to increment it to 1, and then it's going to print out 1, and it's going to increment it and check if it's less than 9, and it's going to do it over and over again until this is no longer true. So it basically counts up to 8, but it didn't go to 9 because 9 is equal to 9. It's not less than 9. So therefore, you see 9 numbers. I could actually show you. I could actually show you what I mean. Or an accurate kind of statement. So when it comes to for loop and doing the greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, you always put the equal sign on the right and the greater than or less than sign on the left. Because if you actually try to do greater than sign like that, it's gonna get you an error. So you do it here or you do it here. So basically less than or greater than. Anyway, so let's run this program. So it should be counting from 1 to 9, which it did. All right, so that's basically how the for loop is implemented. That's how you implement a for loop. So let's do an applied example. So let's just say I want to count down to launch. Let's say let's say it's already been July 30th and SpaceX decided to and SpaceX it's a day that SpaceX is launching its Starship with the Falcon Heavy booster. Falcon Heavy or whatever booster, Starship booster, and it's basically like it's the day they're gonna have Starship orbiting around the Earth. But first of all, you have to do the countdown. So let's do the countdown. So let's do system that out dot print line, and let's type in initiating countdown. 2 exclamation points, and then let's do a for loop. But instead of incrementing, we're gonna decrement. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. Instead of starting it from 0 or 1, you just start from a certain number, and then and then you and then it goes down to 0. It ends with 0. So let's do greater than 0, and let's start it with 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. So basically that's what you need to do. So if you want to do a for loop where you start high and end low or end at 0, you put in the basically the number that you want to start, which is like a starting number that's high. Then you put in the ending number, which is low, which is usually 0 or 1 or -1 if you like to. And instead of putting plus plus, you put minus minus. So you do it. I'm just gonna leave it right here, and then I'm gonna put in system that out that print line, and then we're gonna put in lift off exclamation point, and then let's just put in parentheses Starship engine sound, and to be specific, it's Raptor engine because it sounds cool. So why did I pick Starship? Because it's way more. It's so much more ahead. I like Blue Origin, but Starship is just ahead of the game, in my opinion. And I really like Starship. I really like what they're doing. It's pretty cool, and literally the people there, the person who's doing it, had has patience and perseverance, and that's something that I actually respect from anyone. So let's comment out the previous for loop, and then let's run. So just pretend this is July 30th. The day is the day that, oh, I forgot to put in a semicolon. So today is the day that Starship is gonna launch. It's gonna go into orbit, and it's gonna come back here safe and sound. I think it was like Starship serial number 16 or 20. I think it might be serial number 16. Let me know in the comments which starship it is. I think I saw in the news. I think I saw in the news that it says serial number 16. So let's run this program. And as you see here, it printed out initiating countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Yay! Starship has launched and went into orbit, and then landed safe and sound. Soft touchdown. No explosion. so so if you're a fan of SpaceX and their works, wish them the best of luck. And also, if you want to look at Starship's Starship launch, you could follow them on Twitter. You could follow SpaceX on Twitter, or you could actually like and subscribe to What About It, and or Space Centric if you like Space Centric, or you could do both. And also follow these two on Twitter. They're very informative about space, even they get you the latest space news. So there you have it. For loop. It's simple, and there's a lot of applications for loop. One of the prominent ones the is going to be the thing that I'll teach you in later in the series, called arrays. It's a special kind of variable, and it's for loop is very handy when it comes to array, when it comes to making use of array. So thank you so much, guys, and leave me a comment, and be sure to like and subscribe if you're on BitChute or BitTube, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and if I said anything wrong, if I made a mistake, don't be afraid to comment. So, and don't be afraid to correct me. Please be respectful, but don't be afraid to say, "Hey, what you said here, that's wrong. This is basically what happens," and I'll gladly appreciate it. And I'll actually put up a comment, put up a tweet saying that in that video I said this, that person said it's wrong. I fact check it, and it came out to be right. So anyways, again, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you next time. Bye.